Yeah, it's okay. I can have more than one of you. Yeah. Awkward. Hey, welcome to the Extreme Channel. Today we are looking at Infinity Studios' life-size Wonder Woman torso. Again, it's not really a bust because you see everything from the belly button up. Now, I'm so excited about this for two reasons. One, I've waited almost 4 years for this. And two, believe it or not, she is the reason I did my first ever live video. If you recall, 4 years ago, there was tons of controversy about this piece. So we're going to talk about that and do a review to see if she was worth the wait. You were, yes you were. As the Extreme Channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. My name is Mr. X. We are all about extreme collectibles, and we have maybe the most extreme collectible ever in the house. This is a life-size silicone bust by Infinity Studios of Wonder Woman as portrayed by Gal Gadot. Now, really quick, I want to establish something before we go any further. Her last name, a lot of people say the T is not pronounced. A lot of people say it isn't. When I pronounce the T in videos, I always have one or two commenters who say the T is not pronounced. Well, she actually did an interview, I believe it was with Craig Ferguson or one of the late night hosts, and she said the T is pronounced. So I'm going to trust the person who owns the name a little bit more than a random YouTube comment. So I say Gal Gadot. However, I'm very excited about this, even though I already own a very similar piece, this piece by Queen Studios. And not only that, but I have another silicone Gal Gadot by J&D and another one on order. So today, while we're just going to focus on this Infinity Studios piece, I am going to do a video comparing the three that I have in the future. So make sure you not only have liked this video, but you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification. Now, the reason why I purchased her is because I have an entire line of DC movie busts. But the reason why I got two of them is because there was a lot of controversy when she was first released. So, Infinity Studios announced they were going to do a Gal Gadot Wonder Woman bust. And everybody was super excited because most people are fans of her. Now, with that being said, Queen Studios, a competitor of Infinity Studios, also announced they were going to do one. And everybody was waiting to see what Queen Studios was like. Well, eventually, Queen Studios revealed theirs, and everyone's like, oh yeah, Infinity Studios, which is this one right here, is way better. Well, then Infinity Studios said, hey, this is the pre-order date and time for this limited piece. However, if you're in different parts of the world, make sure you only buy from authorized distributors. And in North America, the authorized distributor would be Sideshow Collectibles. So everybody waited for the pre-order to open. Well, Infinity Studios had such demand for this, they really didn't need to give any to Sideshow. So they pretty much sold out before it was even available from the only distributor they said to buy from if you lived in North America. And this pissed off so many people. Thankfully, I didn't have that problem because I straight ahead ordered her from Spec Fiction. And we're going to talk more about that later. While it did take 4 years, that's more of an Infinity Studios thing than a Spec Fiction thing, I secured my spot right away and I've been waiting ever since then. But there was so much controversy about this in statue forums and social media. That's bullshit. Infinity Studios told me to wait and buy it from Sideshow and then it was never available on Sideshow. I got hosed. Yes, that's true, but I never blamed Infinity Studios. I mean, they sold out. They are a for-profit company. If they're going to be able to sell all their statues through one venue, obviously they made a little bit of a mistake. But you really can't get mad at them for that because they are a for-profit company. And that's what I made my first ever live video about because I just wanted to address my opinion on it. Yeah, it stunk. Yeah, it sucked for collectors. But really, if I'm going to sell a product and I have 500 available and all 500 instantly sell out, I'm going to sell them. I don't care how they're sold or who buys them. But anyway, so let's move on to this piece. I am very excited. I'm going to try and not do too many comparisons to the other Wonder Woman pieces I have that represent Gal Gadot because I'm going to save that for that upcoming video. But we are going to do a traditional review using the normal categories. So let's kick that off with concept. Now, concept is always incredibly difficult when talking about a bust. First and foremost, if you remember, I recently reviewed one of the early production samples of this Heath Ledger statue, also by Infinity Studios, and they call these busts, but in my opinion, they're not busts. To me, a bust is chest and above, no arms. This is almost like a half torso. But either way, it's kind of difficult to really identify what the concept is. But this is what they did here. So first, they have a base that has the Wonder Woman logo on the front. It has the Justice League logo on the back. Has a few things that are almost a tie back, obviously not only to the logo of Wonder Woman, but makes you think of Athenian temple type stuff, in my opinion. But then moving up, she has her Justice League armor on, this plated breastplate and stomach plate. And it's interesting that she only has armor there, but not on her arms. And of course, that's more of a character than a concept thing. But what I like about this is obviously they have the two arms and the lasso of truth. So she's holding that. That's kind of always been her signature trademark, not only in the comics, but even Linda Carter stuff way back when I was young. And she is very serious, a very stern look. So you can tell that she's going into battle. She's ready to fight. She has her famous gauntlets on both of her hands. She's looking slightly down, but I absolutely love this. I think it's a very, very cool concept for a bust or half torso. And as a disclaimer, I don't want to say bashing, but I've been not a fan of these half torsos. I'm starting to like them more and more. Like I said, this is the second one I've had on my table in the last few months. While I don't have any on order, I am tempted to get a few, like this Catwoman piece right here. And of course, they've teased some Pattinson and Bale stuff that I'm also very interested in. So I give the concept a 4 out of 5. I think it's a cool base, not anything amazing, but I like the lasso of truth. I like the full figure. I like everything that they added to it. Design is very interesting on this one. And again, I'm going to try and not make a lot of comparisons to the Queen. But before we look at the design, let's look at the unboxing and assembly. Huge 70-pound box that Ace Ventura delivered, as you can see right here, just torn to shit. Thankfully, nothing was broken on the inside. It was protected by foam and straps. And they had a bunch of documents, certificate of authenticity, instructions, stuff about the statue. I left most of that wrapped up, actually all of it wrapped up. And here is the single layer that all the pieces were in. Very noticeable seam line between the arm. Here's a picture of it right here. But you actually move up this piece just to cover it up, and then you can't see it at all. So I really can't fault them for that. Other interesting thing on the assembly here is her crown up here, her tiara, actually you have to connect it. So initially I just connected it behind her hair, but then I had to lift her hair up and connect it. It's not super tight, but it still looks fine. And you'll see the close-ups on the video when we talk about paint and sculpt. Obviously, the lasso of truth, you do that however you want. You have to actually insert it in her hands. Her hands are pretty pliable, her fingers. You can actually, oops, see? I did that and it actually loosened up some. It's kind of creepy. It's almost real. Big negative is this leather part of her outfit. It's extremely loose. They have a few things you can try and tighten it, but there's so much room with it. Now, you can move all the excess room or most of the excess room to the back where you don't see it, but I think that's a big flaw. And also the fact, you know, this type of leather does deteriorate, so that is something to be aware of. This will deteriorate over time, probably faster than the silicone. You know, there's always a lot of controversy about them using medical-grade silicone. You know, the great thing is it looks very real. You know, they call it hyper-real. The negative thing is nobody knows how long it'll last. They claim it'll last 30 years. Will it? It's only been out for like 5 years, so we don't know. It has been out in like movie makeup effects, and it has lasted longer than that, so hopefully it's the same here. Let's measure her really quick. So the base is about a 14-inch diameter, but she is about 26 inches wide, and I would say approximately 17 inches deep. And the highest point is probably her head, is just about 28.5 inches. For exact dimensions, go to Spec Fiction's website. There's a link in the description below. So I think the design's fine. I think it's a 3 out of 5. It is a very heavy statue, by the way. Crazy job of mixed media. Now, when we say mixed media, we actually mean non-sculpted. So like this part is sculpted. Obviously the leather straps are mixed media. The hair would be considered mixed media technically. On her gauntlets here, that's mixed media, and of course the rope. So you have different lifespans for different parts of the statue, which is kind of a negative. Now we're going to talk about paint and sculpt, and something really important to me is likeness. you know, as a spoiler, you can see it. Did my voice just crack? They nail the likeness, in my opinion, of Gal Gadot. But here is some close-up in video of the paint and sculpt. Starting at the base, it's not my favorite, both on the paint and sculpt. Kind of looks like they almost gave it a little bit of a plastic effect, but it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bash it, but it's just not as good as the rest of what we're going to look at. Wonder Woman logo looks fine, and again, the gold around it, just, I don't know why they did some of what they did with the coloring on it. It looks weird. Here's the Justice League on the back. But it does, you know, give her some height, so that way her arms don't cross on the bottom, so I think that's nice. The armor's done well, I think. I like the streaks in it. There's a little bit of battle damage. It's not too shiny, but it's shiny enough, so I think that's spot on. And then same thing with the gold. I like how it's not too much of a contrast. I think that would take away from the statue. Now look at the leather straps. Again, they look a little cheap in my opinion, and even kind of the patches on them. So I'm not a huge fan of that. But of course, these are the minor parts of the statue. The biggest thing is, let's look at the skin. The skin is so incredibly realistic. I mean, everything from the moles that they added to the texture of it and the paint on it. It's absolutely amazing. Because remember, it's silicone and then they paint it. That's really, really cool. I think the anatomy is spot on from her. Now, she does have kind of an awkward position, so her stomach's sticking out, but her chest, look at the bones around her neck. And then just like her arms, really, really well done on the anatomy. So let's look at the gauntlet really quick. This looks good as well. I like, again, the scarring and the battle damage, and there's kind of these different hues they added with the paint. And then the leather wraps around her hand. Then I was impressed how much I actually liked the Lasso of Truth. It's a lot thicker than I thought it would be. That's what she said. But it looks really good. I'm trying still to kind of perfect it on how it looks from wrapping it around her hands and how tight it is. But pretty cool. Her hair looks great. So one thing about these, this is all rooted in hair. They take each individual strand and they root it in. Now, she has black and brown hair in different movies. I'd have to actually go back and watch this god-awful movie because I was not a fan of the Justice League. I did really like the Snyder Cut, though. So, but it's weird. You do see some brown in there. You see that? So there is brown laced in with the black, which I like. And, of course, how you style her hair can definitely change the statue as well. So here is the tiara. The crown looks great. Has a little bit of a gap right there. It's leather straps in the back that hook it in. But really, while all of that is great, we want to look at the portrait. So here's some close-ups. Now, I have one problem with the portrait, and we'll start there. The glass eyes have a little bit of a yellow hue to them. And I know that's happened, not necessarily with this piece, but with other life-size busts, whether they're polystone or silicone. So I hope that that's not like the start of a problem. You really can't see it until you get close. So hopefully it doesn't yellow anymore. I am a little bit concerned with that, but I'm not going to lose any sleep because really there's no solution. But let's take a look at her portrait here. So the farther back you go, the more the likeness is. And I was thinking about that for a minute. I doubt I will ever be this close to the actress to see what her facial features look like up close. But I think they did an amazing job from the, like we talked about, the moles, the skin texture, the makeup they used. Her lips, I think, look at even the detail in those lips. The eyelashes and eyebrows. And I think when we talk about likeness for this, I think it's as close as you can get in any silicone bust. And I'm not saying it's the best likeness I've seen, but I don't think that there's a better likeness out there. And if you recall, Queen Studios, when they released theirs, and we'll talk more about this in the comparison video, the likeness was really off at first, and then they fixed it. So during that comparison video, we'll figure out which one has a better likeness. But this one is very, very good in my opinion, and it's good from multiple angles. It's a really impressive piece overall. While it's not perfect, I like it. All right, so as I said, the base, not a huge fan of the paint or sculpt on that. It's not bad, but it's not as good as the rest of the statue. And then the eyes. I think that's a problem with the glass eyes. So it is what it is. I can't pull her eyes out and put new ones in. And really, it's only under intense lighting you see it, but hopefully it doesn't get worse. So for those reasons, I'm going to give the paint, I think, a 4 out of 5. Close to a 3 out of 5 with the eye problem and some of the stuff with the base. But the rest of it is done really well. I think the skin tones are amazing. The makeup on her face. Sculpt, this is a 5 out of 5. The likeness is spot on. They did an amazing job. What I love about the likeness of this is you see it at every single angle, which for some busts you don't. So, is she worth it? Well, there's some competitors out there, obviously, and we're going to talk about that, but they made 580 of these, and they retailed right around $3,000, so that is a lot of money. I don't know how much they're going for now, but you get a lot for this. There is a ton going on. So that is a lot. It's done really well, and I think that's kind of the going price for busts that are fully silicone, especially with arms. In fact, they're going to like $4,000 nowadays. And I think the market on her, while I don't know what she goes for now, like I said, I bought her from Spec Fiction. I'm a huge fan of Spec Fiction, not only with Infinity Studios, but Queen Studios, tons of other brands. The best customer service in the game. Make sure to check them out. And not only check them out, but there's a link in the description below. It is an affiliate link. I get a kickback, but you can get a discount code using Extreme20. So make sure to plug that in as well. And I paid around retail for this when I purchased it 4 years ago. So I think the value is fantastic. I think I'd have no problem getting my money back. I'd probably make a profit if I wanted to sell it. I don't know if I do or not, but I do have 2 of them. So I think the value is a solid 4 out of 5, possibly even higher. Now, does she have the X factor? So this is not a cumulative score. It's, is she awesome? Does she grab your attention when you walk by? 100% she does. This is a 5 out of 5 statue. I am really, really impressed. I can't wait to bring the other one down here and compare and contrast and really see which one is better. Because at this point, I honestly don't know. And again, we'll throw the J&D one down here too. So make sure, again, you've subscribed to the channel and hit the bell notification so you don't miss that video. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. Please hit that like. Again, it's so easy and it's so free. Just do it. It really helps me. If not, do it for her. It'd make her feel better. Not that she feels bad. I didn't do anything to her, I swear.